And we're live.
Very much, Madam Clerk. Hello, everyone, and I would like to call this special council meeting of May 10th, 2021 to order. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sandra Easton, Mayor of the Town of Lincoln and Chair of today's special council meeting. We are meeting electronically through Zoom during this time of declared emergency period. Members of the public may observe the proceedings by accessing the live webcast at our YouTube channel. The Shononton people have called these lands home for thousands of years. More recently, the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee have been sharing the land as one dish, one spoon treaty territory. We would like to acknowledge the enduring resilience of the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people who call this territory home. We'll ask our town clerk to complete a roll call of council so that we can confirm everyone's attendance. And as we're holding this meeting electronically today, and also to confirm quorum. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Councillor Regina.
Here.
Councillor Russell.
Here.
Councillor Pachariva.
Here.
Councillor Brunet.
Here.
Councillor McPherson.
Here.
Councillor Miklick.
Here.
Councillor Timmers.
Here.
Councillor Reimer.
Here.
And Mayor Easton.
Present.
And we have quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. In addition, I want to take a moment to welcome the staff we have joining us today electronically. Chief Administrative Officer Mike Kirklos, Director of Finance, Administration and Innovation Lawrence Wagner, Associate Director of Finance and Administration Terry Trewalla, Director of Special Projects Kathleen Dale, Director of Planning and Development Matt Bruder, Director of Community Services Shannon Mackay, Fire Chief Greg Hudson, Director of Economic Development and Communications Paul Diani, Manager of Corporate Communications Liliana Busnello, Director of Public Works Dave Graham, Deputy Clerk Devan Kripp, moderating and clerking the meeting today, we have our Town Clerk Julie Kirklos. My apology, Mr. CAO. IT staff are in attendance, and also joining us this evening is Regional Councillor Foster, Rob Foster from Niagara Region. As this is a virtual meeting, I will ask that we follow some procedures during this electronic meeting. Should there be a connection or service disruption for the chair, or if quorum is lost, the chair and/or clerk will call a 10-minute recess to reconnect and to regain quorum. If quorum is lost, the meeting will be adjourned. If connection is lost from the chair, Deputy Mayor or the Vice Chair will resume the meeting. Once connection is achieved, the chair will assume their role. Each member of council who wishes to speak, press the raise hand feature on your video call. The clerk will track the order of speakers and then invite you to speak when I open it for comments or questions. Also, when I finish reading a motion and announcing the mover and seconder, the clerk will then call out the vote by reading each member of council's name out loud. Please remember to take yourselves off mute during this portion of the meeting so that you can confirm if you are in support or oppose. Also, when not speaking, please remember to put yourselves on mute. Are there any declarations of interest? There being none, Madam Clerk, do members have any announcements? Please remember you have a limit of 3 items. There being none.
I do see Councillor Regina just put her hand up.
Go ahead, Councillor Regina.
Sorry for the delay getting my hand up. I just wanted to let council know an update on the Mayor's Golf Tournament that while golf is not a permitted outdoor recreational activity at the moment, we're hoping for the best in the long run. It's currently scheduled for May 31st and June 2nd, which is a Monday and a Wednesday, but there are backup dates for July. So keep your fingers crossed that the numbers go down and the restrictions get lifted and that it can carry on those particular dates. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Counselor. We're moving on now to item number 6, motion to approve council minutes. And we're now considering item 6.1, special council minutes of April the 19th, 2021. Do members of council have any questions?
Councillor Micklick, Madam Mayor.
Go ahead, Councillor Nicolay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just question to staff with regards to report 6.3.2 motion GBF 2021-25. Was it determined who was going to sit on the interview committee for that?
Just a moment, Councillor, and I'll just check with the clerk because I think there is a process. Madam Clerk, what is the process that you expect to follow?
So for which item is this, Councillor? Sorry.
It was regards to motion number GBF 2021-25. Do I need to lift this for discussion or?
So is this for the Housing Committee?
Yes.
Yeah, so the appointed councillors are on the interview panel as well as myself, and it will be with whatever staff liaison is associated with that. And so that would be Kathleen. That's our typical process in terms of a recruitment panel.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor. Are there any other items? Any other questions? Councillor Regina, I see you.
You're on mute, Councillor.
Thank you. I believe it's the motion, again, in the same report, 6.3.2, and the motion is worded that I had asked for an amendment to the terms of reference, and it's just the wording in there says that support provided in the community, but I believe the wording should be, the intent was that the advisory committee play a sort of a coordination role among the different people in the community, including developers and the town and housing providers and service providers. But I think the wording in the motion says services provided. So it's likely just a typo.
Right. So we actually, I mean, we can amend that, but we took the wording as was verbally stated that was in that statement as yourself, and that's why it was bolded as such. But we can go back and make that clarification.
Thank you. Yes, the intent is that service providers that the coordination be among service providers as well as developers, et cetera. So not services provided. So thank you.
Okay, I see Councillor McPherson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Are we not getting ahead of ourselves here? Is this the special? This is the special council minutes.
Not Cal.
Not the committee of the whole. So both these questions are premature.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
So I couldn't find it in there. Yes. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, I have a motion moved by Councillor Pachariva and seconded by Councillor Russell. That council approve the minutes of the following meeting of council. Special council minutes of April 19th, 2021. Madam Clerk?
Councillor Brunei,
Yes.
Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Micklick,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Regina,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
and Mayor Easton.
Yes.
That carries.
All right. Just give me a moment here. We have no delegations this evening. And we're now considering item number 8, items 8.1 and 8.2 being correspondence items from the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal decisions regarding bylaw number 2019-47-Z523 and 3648-3650 Glen Road. Mr. Bruder, would you please provide some overview on these two matters which are requested to be placed specifically on the agenda for the benefit of public information and awareness? Mr. Bruder.
Sure, and thank you, Your Worship. So the first one was an appeal for a townhouse development off of Azalea Crescent. It's 17 townhouses in behind some single detached dwellings. And the appeal was lodged by one of the neighboring properties. With respect to a lot of the concepts that were brought forward, reasons for the appeal were with respect to compatibility, land use transition with some minor reductions in setback, traffic considerations of that townhouse development, pedestrian connectivity, and a host of other things in terms of landscaping that could be addressed later in the site plan stage. So the result, as you can see in this correspondence, was that at the LPAT hearing, it was determined that this is a compatible land use. The townhouse is in this area. It's a fairly modest development that carries the same definition for the surrounding area, which is low density housing, provides a different housing choice, but yet in a place where there are comparable opportunities not too far away. And what it really underscores is some of the transition in terms of, maybe going from a setback reduction that's maybe a meter difference is nothing too significant. And the kind of the feel of the neighborhood is maintained. And from a traffic perspective as well, it was concluded that, that this type of development of a low density magnitude does not add a significant volume of traffic to the area as well. So all things considered, what it shows is that the townhouse development adjacent to kind of a low density development of single detached dwellings, there's compatibility there. Now with the other one, unless there's any questions on that one first, I can handle them one at a time.
We may have a question from Councillor McPherson. Would it be on this one, Councillor McPherson, or do you want to wait?
The next one for me.
Okay. All right, that's fine. I don't see any other hands up, Mr. Bruder, if you wouldn't mind going ahead.
Sure, Your Worship. So the next one, it was a kind of a mixed application for a consent, and what that resulted in is there was 2 lots, which would become 4. And there was also some minor variances required along with that with respect to things like a minor reduction in lot coverage, minor deck encroachment, and so a couple of other, and a lot coverage reduction. And I think that constitutes the bulk of them. And the build form that was being proposed within these new lots was single detached dwellings. And what the appeal was about was just generally in terms of, the lots that were going to result would be a little bit smaller, thus not necessarily fitting in with the surrounding area. There were some concerns, again, just about additional driveways and some drainage issues along Glen Road, some of which not necessarily tied in with this particular development, which was highlighted a little bit through the LPAT process. But again, what this demonstrates is that, the compatibility is there. Yes, we're looking at a little bit more of a compact built form, a little bit smaller lots in this case, but nevertheless still compatible with the surrounding area. But with this one, there was also a little bit of back and forth between the appellant and the residents with respect to some of the minor variance asks that were that were on the table. And there was a little bit of a change. For example, the removal of the minor variance asked for deck encroachment. So in the end, they were able to come to an agreement ahead of time anyways with respect to some of these items. So those are the comments I would make.
Okay, thank you very much. And there certainly was a lot of emphasis. Mr. Bruder, if you would just confirm that in terms of the regulatory role of the municipality and our the necessity of us adhering to regional and provincial policy. It was repeated a number of times.
Yeah, certainly, Your Worship. That's something we always, that's a lens we have to look through as professional planners when we evaluate any planning application. That's a critical component. Provincial policy precipitates down into local policy too. So we've captured all the provincial policy requirements in our local policy, but we always are sensitive to things like compatibility between land uses and different types of built forms. And I think what it shows is we did our part in these particular applications as the result came forward, basically the way staff's recommendation was brought forward.
Okay, thank you. I see Councillor McPherson, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I just wanted to make a comment that I wanted to acknowledge the effort of the staff, right from Mike Kirkopoulos, Matt Bruder, and also Josh Workington for the work that was done on this particular project. It was difficult. It was a project that the neighbors were very engaged, and it was not an easy result by any means. And I would say that our staff did everything they could to engage with the neighbors and to work with them right throughout the process. And even still, there is a neighbor that is working with Josh on the build that is coming. So I just wanted to acknowledge our staff in this effort. And even though the decision obviously didn't go the way the neighbors had hoped it would, as Matt pointed out, there were some minor wins in the negotiations that happened, and there were some changes made to the original plan. So hats off to the three that I mentioned there. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. And I think that is a very, very important point, because it strengthens our position that even though we are the regulator on behalf of the region and the province and our own policy, that the mitigation measures are extremely important, and that the town, I believe that the council, this council has made it very clear to staff that this is a level of engagement that we are looking for, and this is what the public appreciate in being able to influence some of those minor, but what can be pretty important decisions for the adjacent property owners. So thank you very much for that, Councillor McPherson. I don't see any more hands, so we'll move on. And I have a motion moved by Councillor McPherson, seconded by Councillor Brunet, that council receive and file for information the following items: Local Planning Appeal Tribunal Decision, bylaw number 2019-47-Z523, and Local Planning Appeal Tribunal Decision 3648-3650 Glen Road. Madam Clerk, if you would call out the vote.
Thank you. Councillor Brunet.
Yes.
Councillor McPherson.
Yes.
Councillor Miklick.
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva.
Yes.
Councillor Reimer.
Yes.
Councillor Rajima.
Yes.
Councillor Russell.
Yes.
Councillor Timmers.
Yes.
Mayor Easton.
Yes.
And that carries.
Right, councillors, we're looking now at recommendations from standing committees, and we're now considering the following. Item 9.1, Committee of the Whole minutes of May 3rd, 2021. And I'm looking, and for the record, Madam Clerk, have you noted Councillor Rajima's question from before?
Noted her minor correction, yes.
Okay, all right, then I'll move to, are you satisfied with that, Councillor Rajima?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Madam Clerk.
Okay, Councillor McPherson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I just wanted to acknowledge some edits that I put through to Julie today with regards to the amendment that I put forward. So those corrections have been made within the recent of additions of the minutes. So I am satisfied with those changes. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I had one of my own, and it seems that everything is intact now. So that being the case, Madam Clerk, I believe that this motion wasn't lifted. So if we're all satisfied, then we'll be voting on the
recommendations.
yeah.
Right.
And so just let me see here. I have a motion moved by Councillor Timmers and seconded by Councillor Reimer that council approve the following recommendations from Standing Committee of the Whole minutes of May 3rd, 2021, as amended and circulated. Correct, Madam Clerk?
That's correct.
All right. Madam Clerk, please call out the vote.
Thank you, Councillor Brunet,
Yes.
Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Miklick,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Rajima,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton,
Yes.
and that carries. Thank you.
All right, we are at notice of motion, and we're now considering item 10.1, which is the notice of motion brought forward by Councillor Russell. This is an introductory notice of motion for a CIP program review and will be considered at a next scheduled council meeting. Madam Clerk, I have a procedural question, and I don't want to interfere with Councillor Russell's speaking. So I'm going to ask you at the moment, because I have a recollection about staff direction that I would like you to clarify as a matter of procedure. It was my understanding or my recollection that back at the time when we were considering the 2021 budget, that there was direction to staff to arrange for an education, I believe it was an education session to be held, and also that subject experts were to be included as part of that. Would you please clarify that procedure?
Correct. And so that was brought forward during the budget process, and I believe that the CAO can comment further if needed, but that will be coming forward to council at a later date, and I believe that will be scheduled.
Okay, all right. Mr. Kirkopoulos, do you have anything to add to that?
Through you, Madam Mayor, our clerk is correct. We will be coming forward with a review of our CIP programs. It was something that we spoke about during the budget process. And I expect probably in the next 2 to 3 months.
Okay. All right, with that clarification then, and thank you very much, Councillor Russell. Is it your intention then to continue with the notice of motion?
Yes, Your Worship.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. I, along with Councillor Miklick, wish to bring this motion forward to ensure that our community improvement programs as they relate to residential development reflect the current market and meet the needs of our existing residents. A lot of things have changed in the world over the last few years, let alone the last decade. And I think it is crucially important that we evaluate whether or not subsidy programs are needed or in the best interest of our community. This motion will ask staff to review some of our current programs and evaluate them against our local area municipalities for effectiveness, efficiency, and to determine their future viability. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. And I would just note that consideration will be given at this special council meeting on May 31st, 2021. Do members have any questions? All right, thank you very much. We're moving on now. Item number 11, reports of municipal officers. 11.1, the mayor's report. I have a few comments to make this evening, and I just want to thank everyone who has provided feedback to the annual State of the Town address. And I was quite surprised at the amount of interest that was shown. And thank you very much to all councillors and to the significant effort of the communications department in helping to prepare the report in video form, which members of the public really enjoyed that. I think we're all well aware of the challenges that all of our community are faced with right now. It's very difficult with children out of school and so many limitations being placed on everyone. I encourage everyone to have the vaccination when their turn comes. It's certainly making a difference in terms of confidence levels in the community. And we want to get this behind us as soon as possible. I think there will be some ongoing discussions about the opening of public features, including parks, and so we'll have to see what the province is bringing forward, and it is certainly a concern for everyone. And now I'd like to call on Regional Councillor Foster to provide his update. Rob?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Easton. Good evening, Council. So I provided for you a couple of documents tonight. First, my report. First and foremost, we had a very interesting report come up at one of our recent council meetings concerning shared services in the CAO working group. What I wanted to do out of that is I wanted to highlight for you some of the things that have been going on from a discussion point of view within Niagara. I'm sure Mr. Kirkopoulos can provide far more in depth than I can on it, but what I'm seeing with this is that there has been some very positive discussions going on regarding some areas of mutual interest between municipalities within Niagara. As we know, when the review was done by the province some time ago, they basically stated that they were going to leave things status quo, but they also advised us that we should be looking at areas of efficiency as best we can between the upper tier, the lower tier, and between lower tier municipalities. So anyway, I thought that report would be interesting for you, and perhaps it can also provide some dialogue at some point in the future as we're into discussions. The second report I provided was from our committee of the whole meeting last week, and that was concerning Niagara's official plan review. There's some very interesting items within this. I would suggest that you have a good look at it. There's a number of things that directly affect the town of Lincoln, if not all lower tier municipalities. Particularly review section 2 within it, and also on page 18, a lot of discussion, particularly from the mayors, came into play around implementation tools and urban design guidelines, et cetera, et cetera. So this is something that you may want to dig into. And as I have always said, if you want to have any further discussions, more than happy to with you as we're going on. The other issue that we have is, of course, the CAO recruitment. Very interesting. Niagara Falls has just recently put a new CAO in place, and also changes in St. Catharines. Welland is currently searching for a new CAO, as well as Niagara region. We're making use of a firm out of Toronto for our initial recruitment. And so that is going to be advertised and information being brought through up until June the 4th. A final note, just listening to the notice of motion this evening from Councillor Russell, the there's a few things that I'm on the audit committee at Niagara Region. We had a meeting earlier today, and we're digging into a couple of areas of interest for Niagara Region. As you guys know, we have some pretty significant capital projects that are coming up in the very near future. The Niagara Falls Wastewater Treatment Plant is one for sure. I mean, with estimates with that at approximately $320 million, which is probably the largest capital project that Niagara Region has ever done. But that being said, so we're taking a look at some of the projects that have come out from the last number of years. The Niagara on the Lake wastewater treatment plant had a number of problems with it, and a lot of that is finishing off now. That both Sandra and I, or sorry, Mayor Easton and I both can say that we had nothing to do with those particular projects, but we're still taking a good examination of them to see if there's any issues that may come into play in the future, so that we can make sure that our big projects that are going down the road are being as well thought as we possibly can have them. So anyway, so most of my information for you tonight is mostly informational. And as I said, anytime any of you would like to talk about it further, more than happy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. I'm going to ask Mr. Bruder briefly to speak to the town's involvement in the review of the official plan. I had spoken to him a few, maybe about a month ago or so, about our involvement, and I understand that it has been quite extensive. Mr. Bruder, would you mind commenting on that?
Sure, Your Worship. Yeah, we've been involved working with regional staff on a bunch of specific items, whether it's policy related to natural heritage features and the associated mapping, to some of the other policy considerations around growth projections and things like that. So we've had a bunch of ongoing dialogue with the regional team. We have regular recurring meetings. We also have meetings at the area planners around that table as well, discussing these issues. So it's been a frequent and ongoing communicative process to date.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from any councillors? All right, thank you very much, Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor Easton.
I have a motion moved by Councillor Regina and seconded by Councillor Patriva that council receive and file as information the following reports of municipal officers, mayor's report, and regional councillor update. Madam Clerk, would you please call out the vote?
Councillor Brunei,
Yes.
Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Miklik,
Yes.
Councillor Patriva,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Regina,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton,
Yes,
and that carries.
thank you. We'll move on to item number 12, motion to consider confidential items. And we will now consider agenda item 12.1 motion, or before I read the motion and we motion to move into closed, I would like to explain what will happen for those watching this electronic meeting. First, there will be a closed session statement that the clerk will go through for all of council and staff that will be attending the closed session. Once that is completed, we will move on with the motion to move into closed. The clerk will be turning off the live webcast during the closed portion of the meeting. Once we've completed the closed portion of the meeting, we will resume with the live webcast, carry on with the public portion of the meeting, and read the motions in public session. Madam Clerk, would you please conduct the closed session statement for all of council and others attending the closed session?
Thank you. All members are reminded that any discussions in closed session are to remain confidential as per our procedural bylaw and our code of conduct for the council of the town of Lincoln. Before we begin, I need each member that is attending electronically to confirm the following: that you understand that matters are to remain confidential. Confirm that no one else is present with you. Confirm that no one else can hear this closed session. Confirm that you are not using any electronic devices other than your tablet, computer, or telephone for the video conferencing. And confirm that you are not recording this portion of the meeting. Acknowledge all of the above. Please reply with "I understand" and confirm to all of the statements as I read your name aloud. And we'll begin with Mayor Easton.
I understand and confirm to all of the statements.
and Counselor Regima,
I understand and confirm to all of the statements.
and Counselor Russell,
I understand and confirm to all of the statements.
Counselor Brunet,
I understand and confirm to all the statements.
Counselor Pachariva,
I understand and confirm to all the statements.
Counselor McPherson,
I understand and confirm to all of the statements.
Counselor McClick,
I understand and confirm to all of the statements.
Counselor Timmers,
I understand and confirm to all of the statements.
Counselor Reimer,
I understand and confirm to all the statements.
our CAO,
I understand and confirm to all of the statements.
our Director of Finance, Administration, and Innovation, Lawrence Wagner,
I understand and confirm to all these statements.
Director of Economic Development and Communications, Paul DeAnnie.
All the statements.
Thank you. Director of Special Projects, Kathleen Dale.
I understand and confirm to all of the statements.
Director of Planning and Development, Matt Bruder.
I understand and confirm to all of the statements.
Director of Public Works, Dave Graham.
I understand and confirm to all these statements.
Director of Community Services, Shannon McKay.
I understand and confirm to all of the statements.
Our Fire Chief, Greg Hudson.
I understand and confirm to all the statements.
Our Deputy Clerk, Devan Kripp.
I understand and confirm to all of the statements.
And I myself, the Town Clerk, I understand, confirm to all of the statements.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I have a motion moved by Counselor Timmers and seconded by Counselor Regima. Under Section 239 of the Municipal Act, notice is hereby given that council adjourned to closed session in order to address item 12.1 as follows. Item 12.1, pursuant to the Municipal Act, Section 239, subsection 2C, a proposed or pending acquisition of disposition of land by the municipality. Madam Clerk, would you please call out the vote?
Counselor Brunet.
Yes.
Thank you. Counselor McPherson.
Yes.
Counselor McClick.
Yes.
Counselor Pachariva.
Yes.
Counselor Reimer.
Yes.
Counselor Regima.
Yes.
Counselor Russell.
Yes.
Counselor Timmers.
Yes.
And Mayor Easton.
Support.
And that carries.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please proceed with the technical requirements to move into closed session and advise when we're ready to